All right, for today's episode of for the eighth episode of what is this called? PMS, post millennial movies about sex. I have a couple movies I want to talk about. So the first one is called Dazed and Confused. Dazed and Confused. DC. DC, when spelled out, sounds like Dick. Diaz. DC means Diaz. 10. Um, Des. Des. So, decimal. Thus, in our language. Diaz in Spanish. December comes from 10. So, in that movie, there's basically, like I said in the last video, there's a young middle school kid who's coming into high school, and there's a hazing ceremony at that high school where all the seniors and all the other kids basically bully and kind of put these kids through a boot camp experience. Yeah, so the the kid basically gets initiated by the older guys, and they teach him game and how to pick up the 10th grader who's showing a little bit of interest in him, how to play it cool and play hard to get and take it slow and all that stuff. And what I especially liked was that guy, the guy with the mustache, who says, you have a joint, man?" And the kid says no. And the dude is like, "Well, it'd be a lot cooler if you did." And that other stoner kid is pretty funny too. The skinny guy with the weed shirt, the green weed shirt. And another interesting scene was where that same guy is sitting outside the club or whatever, or the pool area where the kids hang out. And he's like, "I love these high school girls, you know? I love the high school girls ever since I was in high school." But the thing is, what he was saying is like, "I love these high school girls because every year I get 1 year older and they stay the same age." And now it's like frowned upon to go out with girls too young. But honestly, like, marriage only works when the girls and the guys, but especially the girls, are celibate before when they marry. If they've had like 3, 4 dicks in them already, it's not gonna work out that well as if they're both virgins, because the happiness improves, and the more partners a girl has who has more options, um, the more likely she is to cheat in the future and divorce. So if an 18-year-old girl is not even a virgin in today's society, maybe we should change the age to like 16, you know? Because that's how it is in many other areas. And just a few century ago, child marriage was the norm. Boys wouldn't get married at 14 and girls would get married at 12, I guess, because of the promiscuity. Everyone's afraid of having a daughter who was a slut, labeled as a slut because she had romantic interest with some other guy, in her early teenage years. But it's a kind of a good movie, Dazed and Confused. But now I want to go back to Hamlet because Hamlet's also a great movie that I saw, the old Olivier version, and I didn't really go through on it because I wanted to read more about it. But let me just do a brief analysis on that movie, right? So I said it's like it shows Hamlet going through the red pill process. All the stages of grief are shown there, and loss, and through him. But basically, what happens is he sees a holy ghost, and when he sees the Holy Ghost, he he's revealed the source of his grief is revealed, and he sees the truth more clearly. That basically what happened is the righteous king, his father, got assassinated and replaced by an unrighteous king who was his brother, brotherhood, the Mason, Freemasons, and so forth, the secret societies, brotherhoods and sororities and fraternities. So he was a brother who poisoned and killed the righteous king and stole his wife. And then by reading the book, I found out that the wife had been sleeping with him before, a month before. And then he conspired to kill the king. So her involvement in the murder is kind of iffy too, at this point for me. But it's obvious she gave him the opportunity and he went all the way with it. And she was happy with it too, because she married him within a month, as the movie quoted. So, her promiscuity has a big part in the events that happen. And Hamlet finally realizes it through the ghost, who is introduced by the guards, who see him first, and then they call Horatio, who is Hamlet's only friend. And Horatio sees it too, and he calls Hamlet, and Hamlet speaks to it, and the ghost speaks to Hamlet and tells him everything. But the ghost is a white knight mangina too, because he doesn't want Hamlet to punish his mom and leave her to fate. Everyone is hyper protective of the females, which is normal, a normal human reaction. But that normal human reaction doesn't work when everyone is turned against another by evil people into power. So that's what we see happen in the movie. There's a love affair between Hamlet and Ophelia, the fair Ophelia, daughter of the king's advisor Polonius. And when Polonius finds out about this, he tells her to stop all interaction with him, and she obeys like a good daughter. But Polonius is not a good father, and we see that how he manipulates his daughter just to find out what's going on with Hamlet. And the king is really interested now in what's going on with Hamlet, because Hamlet is putting on an act to find out about what happened with his father and whether that vision he saw, whether that ghost he saw is a real ghost or just some kind of trickery. So he sets up a stage play and catches the king and everything. But what I wanted to talk about was Ophelia and how basically Hamlet sees that Ophelia is not being honest with him, and that he basically realizes that there was also a scene where he comes to Ophelia after seeing the ghost, and he just stares at her, and he cries out in like a whimpering sound or whatever, and she feels like terror, because he also starts to realize that the situation, his old life is totally upside down, So his love of Ophelia is like the old life, and he sees it all crumbling away. And after Ophelia stops seeing him, there's a great scene in the movie where the king and the Polonius is spying on him, and Ophelia is right there, and he basically breaks up with her right there and tells her all those great quotes about female nature are revealed there. How God gives you one face and you like to paint it up, and you corrupt men and all that stuff. So that was an interesting scene. So she breaks down and starts crying after that, and her dad and the king obviously doesn't care about her and just let her be. It's kind of funny and sad at the same time. And after that, Hamlet has that suicidal scene where he goes up and he wants to kill himself because of the situation. He doesn't know what to do now because all odds are stacked against him. But the fear of the unknown stops him from that, and then he plans that play and catches the king, and then he has a scene with his mother where he promises himself not to hurt her physically, but only hurt her emotionally with the words. And she's totally tortured when he reveals her guilt and her evil ways, and she starts crying and all that, and then he sees a ghost again who tells him to go easy on his mother. So he tries to show her the positive in the situation, and warns her not to go with the evil brother of his dad. And we also see how Hamlet loses another opportunity to kill the king while he has the opportunity, because he's praying and he has a thought process where he has to punish him when he's doing something bad to send him to hell, not something good like praying. Maybe he might go to heaven. So that's funny. And we also see like how the intellectual people can be stupid like Polonius, and we see all the scheming that greedy people and people with very easily tempted spirits for evil end up doing, and scheming and all that stuff. So through the king, Claudius. And we see how he manipulates good people like Laertes to turn against Hamlet too. So yeah, Hamlet is a good movie about human nature, power, politics, and just the world we live in, female nature and all that, and even spiritual stuff, And in the end, everybody who's guilty or even not guilty but gets involved ends up dying. So only Jesus obviously dies on the cross, right? And then only his apostles survive. So Hamlet has his apostle too, which is Horatio, who wants to die too, but he lives on to keep his memory alive and spread his truth. So yeah, that's Hamlet. That's pretty much all I can remember of Hamlet. And I talked about Dazed and Confused. And obviously, Brazil is another great movie because it makes fun of the gender reversal that we have in society today. And it's just a good movie about an authoritarian regime. So, a lot of stuff in Brazil. My favorite parts was when he's trying to get access to talk to that girl who's a truck driver or whatever, and she's running away after she's almost arrested, and he lets her get out of getting arrested by following her, but she doesn't want to talk to him or be around him. So she kicks him out of the truck, and he hangs around and he catches the tail of the truck or something, and he manages to stay on the truck, but then he falls down, or she thinks he falls down, so she stops and he's just hanging still. So it's all good. And yeah, eventually they fall in love, and they start helping each other, I guess. And she becomes more feminine and so forth. But yeah, Brazil is another great movie. So yeah, I talked about 3 movies. I think that's enough for today. Till the next episode. Peace.